Oh, I think everybody that plays or coaches loves games like this. There's not very many times in the course of a season that you can play a game like this and have it not be the most important game of that week. And I'm sure that Kentucky feels the same way with their conference, and we feel the same way with ours. But it's a game that's been circled on our calendars, and I would assume theirs as well for a long time. And I'm excited, and I think the players are excited as well. And it certainly will beat. I guarantee it. Not many guarantees out there, but the atmosphere will be better tomorrow than it was last year when we played in Indianapolis. So that was the worst ever. So I know it'll be a lot better, and more people probably here than last year.
You guys have seen each other a lot over the last decade or so, whether it's tournament matchups or series classic or just this deal. I know personnel changes, but is there some sort of weird familiarity between your team and their team because of that?
Watching tape, they're obviously playing different than they have, in large part because they have, Xavier and Oscar, and then they got a dead eye shooter, and Ty's terrific, but they've had really good guards. I mean, but Xavier's different from a speed standpoint, and I don't know how many points a game Kentucky's averaged in the past, but we think we're pretty good offensively. They're scoring more points than us, and so I think it'll be more of a upbeat. Last year the game was 59-57, something like that. I don't think that'll be the score after 40 minutes tomorrow.
In the past, Kentucky would always have many of the nation's top high school players, but be very young. Now they've got more experienced players. How much more better has that made them more difficult for you to prepare for?
Well, I don't know about more difficult to prepare for, but I do think that, talent trumps experience, but experienced talent is what you want. And they've got both. So, Oscar's, you could make a case obviously for Timmy, but who's had a better year in America than Oscar? He's a first team All-American. And Xavier's third in the country in assist. And it's hard to lead anything in the country in assist if you play in the SEC or the Big 12 or the Big 10 or the ACC or the Pac-12 or Big East. It's hard to lead the country because the competition's so good each and every night, and they got two players that are at their respective positions the best the country has, as far as a guy that can distribute and a guy that can rebound the basketball. So that's unique. And then now we got a player that's in the top 10 in scoring too, out of the same league. So there's going to be some really good individual players on the court tomorrow.
How different is the Sheway version, the Kentucky version of Sheway than the West Virginia version of Sheway?
I would say totally. In large part, he was, Oscar, we recruited Oscar. So, we followed him. He's the best rebounder in the country, hands down. At West Virginia, they played two bigs. So you had another bigs man always around him when he was posting or whatever. This year with Keon or whoever they're playing, or Topping or whoever, he's playing away from the basket, so it gives him more room to operate. I think that he is a much better offensive scorer, in large part because he's had space to operate, where maybe at West Virginia, when you play he and Culver together, it's two guys that need to play close to the basket. So that would be one difference I would see.
Do you think that matchup between him and Dave would be the key to this one?
Could be. You could also say point guard matchup. You could also say Ty and Oach. You could also say, Kellen and CB. I think there's be a lot of potentially really good individual matchups in the game.
We're going to be pretty busy tomorrow, but you got to be excited about watching how the Big 12 teams are going to be able to compete with SEC.
That's the first time I've actually thought about anybody else. So I'm a pretty selfish dude. I don't even know who anybody else is playing, but I just know who we are. So I won't be as excited following everybody else. I'll be more excited about just getting ready to play our game tomorrow.
We're gonna point out here is always special, but in a game like tomorrow or atmosphere like tomorrow, what does it mean for you guys to play at home? I mean, what's it, this place?
Well, I think it's, I hope it plays out to be a big home court advantage. It usually does. That doesn't guarantee success, but it's special. But it was special on Monday night too, and it's going to be special other nights. And what makes Allen Fieldhouse more special than most, it doesn't have to be Kentucky to be special. That to me is the difference, where everybody can have special places, but it may take the right opponent to make it special. Here, you don't have to have that so-called right opponent, but when you do, it turned up even, another notch.
So we just had a chance to talk to LeBron about Jim and the rebounding and the mentality that goes into rebounding. He said, really from the start of the season, he needed a little bit of a acclimation period with being out and coming back in before we could start to click and get things back together again. That's his outside point of view. The inside point of view, does that jive pretty well?
Yeah, I think when you're as conscientious and as conscious of all the things that are going on in our sport and all the media attention and all the things that it draws and how much you care about your teammates and all those things, sometimes when you get punched in the gut or hit like he did, I think sometimes it can have a pretty big impact that you think you can bounce right back, but you got to go through some things mentally before you're back to whole. And I think he spent the first several games kind of going through that, even though he's out there, even though he's trying. I don't think he could really release and let it go. And I agree with Alfonso totally on that, in that regard.
Many of your guys talked about how drained they were after that exhilarating win against Tech. How have they managed the recovery and the preparation for tomorrow?
I think they did fine. I'm such a tough guy that, basically gave him 2 days off. So we play Monday, off Tuesday, and starters shoot only on Wednesday and practice yesterday. So I'll know more today when you talk about preparation and all that stuff, but because today will be more of our Kentucky prep day. After 2 days off, you kind of worry more about yourself, I think. But if we are not rested or whatever, tomorrow's one of those games it won't matter because it'll be off adrenaline as much as anything else. So I think that both teams will be juiced and have the appearance of being rested regardless of what the teams went through that week. They had a hard game too, didn't they go OT also? So.
Otherwise, are you going about
Excuse me?
health-wise?
We're about what everybody is, nicked up, but playable. So yeah, everybody goes through that this time of year.
You guys are about at that 2/3 of the way through the season mark. What do you like about your team right now?
I think that probably as much as anything, knock on wood, they've been pretty mentally tough. They've fought hard, and when we haven't always been physically tough, but we've gotten better in that area. But kind of regardless of the situation we're in, the guys have hung in there and understand it's a long game. It's a 40-minute game, and I think that they've been pretty mentally tough. There's a lot to like about our team, but there's also a lot to wish that we did better, and that's why I've been excited about them, because I think our ceiling is still higher than what we played so far.
When you look at the speed matchup in this game with Severe and Tai Tai, and then your guys, of course, what does that look like to you? How do you see that going? How do you want that to go?
Well, we recruited them both. Severe, I think, is the best 94-foot player in the country, hands down, because he's one of the few guys that can pick up 94 feet and offensively, force the pace better than anybody else. So I think he's had a fabulous year. Ty's had a really good year. Didn't get off to a scoring start like he's capable, which all freshmen kind of go through that. But I mean, yeah, he's scoring the ball at a consistent rate, making athletic plays. He's definitely a pro. But we're going to be playing with the pro in that spot too. So I'm kind of excited to see that. We're going to have some great, to the question asked earlier, there's some great individual matchup type things, which should be fun to watch.
When you mentioned recruiting, Oscar, you've seen these guys now for a couple of years, really, since they were in their high school years. Does that make scouting any easier, or just systems and schemes, everything changed by the time you get to season at this point?
Yeah, it's when you say recruiting them, there were 50 schools recruiting him, and there's so we watch them that way. Lateral quickness, second jump, go after the ball hard, how good's hands, they're whatever you watch, but that's why you recruit them, to fit into your scheme and your system. And the guys that we've recruited that they have on their team would be good regardless of scheme or system. And so to me, when we study them in how Cal utilizes them and how he wants to get them, with the unused dribble in this spot or a catch on this block or whatever, and then you try to take that away. I don't think that necessarily has as much to do with their talent as how, Kentucky wants to utilize their talent. So, yeah, I don't know that watching a kid in high school has one thing to do with helping us win a game tomorrow.
Seeing Grady and MJ and Ernest getting McDonald's All-Americans, how do you feel seeing that honor for them?
Well, I thought it was great. I thought it was well-deserved. When you're in college and you play college basketball, the goal is each year is the Final Four, because that's what is publicized, road to the Final Four. This is a Final Four team, all that's how it's sold. When we're a high school player, everything is sold on, can you make the McDonald's game? I mean, that's the end result that you want to try to get to. So to have 3 of our 4 recruits all make the game is exciting, and certainly I'm happy for them, and I'm also hoping that they think that even though I'm proud and glad I made it, it doesn't mean much, because once you get to college, what happened in your previous high school career isn't going to help you compete at the next level. And what you do here, once you get to the pros, you got to kind of do it all over again. So I'm happy because they excelled at the highest in their high school level, even though the season's not over. But understand also, and they'll understand, the work starts now. But I think it's a great accomplishment for those kids that have worked so hard, and those families, over the last many years, to put themselves in that position.
On the top end of that, you got Wiggins and Joel.
Now to me, that's a more proud thing than even high school, to have 2 players out of 10 starting the NBA All-Star game is pretty special. Wiggs has been he's been and you guys followed him, pretty monotone, very consistent, not highs, not lows. And that consistency has now paid off, because he's the exact same player now as he was when he's playing with a team that didn't win as much. And so it's great to see him being honored that way. And then Joe's playing at a level that maybe he didn't even play at last year when he was second in the league in MVP or whatever. So I don't know if he can win it this year, but he's right in there in the mix. So that's awesome for those 2 guys.
Anything else?
Is a lot of people that watch the game watch the coaches, and you've been in massive games against Cal. What do you think about your personal relationship and rivalry with Cal?
I actually think my personal relationship with Cal is very good. We talked just the other day, text for a long time back and forth. We're actually doing a fundraiser tonight together, try to raise some money for some different initiatives. I think that we have a solid relationship. He goes about his business, and I totally respect how he does it and how good he is at it. And we go about ours probably a little differently. And And, but no, it's, the thing about it is when you play a game like this, what you have to remember, it's not coach versus coach, and it's not player versus player. It's Kansas versus Kentucky. And that's something that I think makes the game like this so special, because I think everybody involved with the game competitively out there on the court 100% understands that.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right.
Thank you.